welcome to another podcast, Latin Chamber of Commerce Leaders in Action. And today we had a great leader, a great guest in our room today, along with my co-host, Maite Salazar, Director of Business Education Programs at Latin Chamber of Commerce, and many other things. Maite.
I try to do what you ask. So no, it is an honor and a privilege to represent the Latin Chamber of Commerce with this incredible program. The LCC Leaders has been probably one of the most, I've been doing programs for the Chamber for about 20 years, but I think this is probably the most encompassing program that we've done with the leadership series, with the business accelerator series, with the mentorship component, with the podcasting and in-person interviews at businesses. And so it's really been amazing. And I think the most rewarding part of this is just meeting the leaders and business owners that are going through the program. Of course, Javier, I've known you for a long time now.
That's right.
And so I personally invited you to be part of it because I know you've participated in other programs in the past. And I really, every program is different. And I'm sure you'll get to talk a little bit about that because you've participated in previous business training programs. But this is very unique. It's very different from other programs we've had in the past. And but we're very lucky to have you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Maite.
Yeah, thank you for participating in this program, for taking me up on that invite. Mm-hmm. And even though I know you, not everybody knows you. We want everybody to know you, Javier. So tell us a little bit about you personally. Tell us about your business and what got you started in your business.
Okay, well, sounds good. Well, thank you very much, Maite. Yes, it's a pleasure to be part of the Leaders program, and definitely appreciate the invitation. Yes, I have gone through a couple of iterations of the programs with the Latin Chamber. This is definitely a much more comprehensive approach to leadership training. A little bit about my business. I am an independent insurance broker, so I do various lines of insurance, primarily commercial insurance, followed by health insurance, specifically Medicare. So I cater to the senior community with respect to the Medicare, and then life insurance as well, because that does tend to pair with the needs of many of my business owner clients. A little bit about my background. I've done finance and insurance ever since almost my entire life since I got out of college. I studied finance in college. I went to work for a major investment company headquartered out of Los Angeles. About 8 years later, I moved out to Las Vegas, came to work for another investment firm out here in Vegas. And then after that, I transitioned into the insurance world. So all in all, I've been working in finance and insurance for about 25 years. And it wasn't until about 3 years ago that I decided to leave my corporate job. On the corporate side of things, I wore many, many, many hats, everything from sales and marketing to analytics, product management. But about 3 years ago, that's when I decided to part ways. A combination of factors led to that, mainly personal. As the kids got older, they needed dad around the house a little bit less. And there's really never a perfect time to start a business. It's kind of like having a kid or buying a house. There's never really a perfect time to do that. But it seemed like the best time at that point when the kid's no longer dependent on dad to be around the house, as much anymore. So that's a little bit about my trajectory as far as how I landed where I am.
Yes, and that's great. When you mention kids, you're lucky. So they leave the nest. So in your career, when you mention corporate stuff, especially traveling and taking care of so many individuals, especially the corporation is big, so many headcounts, and to manage everything is difficult. It's a challenge. It challenges you personally and challenges you to the corporation and your work. Now, when you transition to be a independent business owner, what challenge you find now as a business owner that you had in the corporate world, and how you overcome those challenges?
Yeah, it's a great question, Carlos. To be honest with you, the challenge, it's I wasn't really prepared for this when for what to expect when, or for a lot of the things that came with being self-employed, coming from 20 plus years working for someone else. You're accustomed to that steady paycheck. You're
Plus
accustomed
the
to
bonus.
plus bonuses. Yeah, those are great.
Yeah.
You're accustomed to that steadiness, and as an independent, self-employed individual, you're no longer receiving that steadiness. Now, of course, nothing in life is guaranteed. I mean,
Right.
you work for a large company, they can lay you off at any time. Reorgs. I've gone through many reorgs and throughout my career. But the biggest challenge of being self-employed is really really surviving to the next day. That's the biggest challenge, because with business, with your business, there are cycles throughout the year. So there are periods of time when you get a windfall of cash, and then with that cash needs to be stretched and budgeted in order to withstand those slower months. So there's that inconsistency of cash flows, at least in the first years, in the first 3 to 5 years. So in my opinion, really the biggest challenge is really just surviving to the next day, and I think that's a win. If I'm in business and I'm surviving to the next day and I'm surviving to the next month, I take that as a win. And of course, when the month goes by and you've logged another month or you've logged another year, it feels great. And then of course, you're still, you're working. Then the next day you wake up and you're working to survive for the next day as well.
I hear your pain.
Thank you. Yeah.
Loud and clear.
So what, there are a lot of people doing what you do. So what makes you unique and different? I mean, you're my friend, so you're my insurance guy. So, I'm going to go to you because you're my friend.
Yeah.
But someone who's not your friend, who doesn't know you, why should they come to you?
Yeah, that's a great question. So really in my opinion, what makes me stand out from the many other insurance agents that are out there is really my background. So I can hang my hat on a long career trajectory that many other people don't have. I studied finance in college. I have 2 important industry designations under my belt. One is the Chartered Property and Casualty Underwriter designation, which really only about 4% of insurance agents in the country have that designation.
Wow.
That designation takes about 2 years. Most people take about 2 to 3 years to complete that, only because of the fact that it's very intensive studies. It's not a cheap course to go through either. It's a deep dive into insurance. So, you have to be really, truly an insurance nerd in order to go through that. And really, like digging into the policy contract language and the operations of insurance companies and things like that in order to go through this course, which is a series of 24 different exams, and each exam takes months to prepare for. And but once you're done with that, it's definitely a recognition that most people in the field don't have. And then there's another designation that I have, which is called the Associate of Risk Management. And so what that allows me to do, or what that prepared me to do, was to look at businesses and individuals holistically and help to identify the risks that people face in their particular business, in their particular industry, or in their particular household situation. So it's a matter of uncovering those risks and helping people understand, really spot their blind or find their blind spots in their insurance. So that would be, from a credentials standpoint, I'd say that's something that is probably pretty unique in Las Vegas. And then the other part is really the human factor, and that is that I care about my clients. For me, it's important that they are well covered, well taken care of. For some people, their insurance needs are easier than others. For some people, it's pretty straightforward. For other people, it can get pretty complicated. So that's where I think I really do, set that difference is also in that human element.
Now I know why we connected as friends, because I studied finance.
Did
I
you
was kind
really?
of like in
How about
junior
that?
college, I studied accounting.
Okay.
and then I studied finance. That was my degree was in international business, but focused in finance.
Okay,
And
okay, I didn't know
I'm
that.
also a high C. I heard you say
I
you're
was,
a high C.
I am a high C, yeah.
And I'm kind of a nerd too, so I'm like, I like those reports, and I like analyzing information and
That's
data
funny. I didn't
and
know that.
reporting. So,
Okay.
so I think that may be biased in how I select, who I work with. So, yeah. So that's an interesting fact that I learned about you.
Very cool.
Taking your comments, one of the things that appeals to me is the background you have. And in reality, when you go, people don't understand. They say it's insurance because I need it or it's mandatory. But they sign up and they don't understand really, really well what is protected, what is not, in your home, your car, you name it, your life insurance, especially for first generation, they don't understand life insurance and how important it is for the future. So there are things that always looking at a professional like you are, it's important to people to understand why. So on the side, I will consult with you my home insurance so I can burn it and recover. So that's another question. No, but how busy you are? As busy you are, how you find about this program besides Maite?
So I have been engaged with the Latin Chamber for a couple of years. I think I first signed up with you guys back in 2022 or 2023 was the first time that I became a member, and I've been at many of your events as well. The luncheons, the desayunos con amigos,
Cafecito.
the cafecitos. I went to one of your galas, so I've been engaged with the chamber for a while. Unfortunately, not as much as I'd like to, because business comes first, and you can't always squeeze everything in. But yes, I've been engaged with you guys. I get your newsletters, so it's been on my radar. And then, of course, when Maite reached out and made the offer, without a doubt, I thought it would be a great opportunity to be a part of that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I'm so glad that you did.
Yeah,
I'm so glad.
Same here.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you did, because I think that it's nice to have people ask questions, and a lot of times people don't ask questions. And I don't know if it's our high C that we like to ask questions, but it was good to see people ask questions, because I know some people were shy, or maybe they were afraid that it was going to be a dumb question. There are no dumb questions,
Right.
You're just asking the question that other people are afraid to ask. So
Correct.
But with that said, in the series, what were your biggest takeaways, or did you have an aha moment during the series?
Yeah, so there's a lot of valuable information, and we're not done with the series yet. There's still a couple of more sessions, but but so far there were a couple of sessions that really stood out to me. The most recent one was on I'm drawing a blank right now. It wasn't
the finance one?
It wasn't the finance one. No, it wasn't the finance one. Although it was convicting, because it made me realize how important it is to keep accurate books.
I was a little biased. I like the finance one. Yeah.
I felt guilty, yeah. But no, it was the one on developing your vision.
Oh, the BHAG.
Yes, yeah, developing your vision, the BHAG. I grew up in the business world, talking about mission statements and elevator pitches and things like that. But when it comes to creating your vision, people, that really got me thinking, because people don't buy necessarily a product or a service. Really, they're buying a vision behind that product or service, how it makes you feel, or where you think that's going to take you, and having a clearly stated vision and being able to articulate that is so important. So it really got me to thinking about how I can rephrase my own vision and build a strategy around that.
Yeah,
that's great. And the same token, any mentor that impact you the most?
I would say that I don't know her name, but it was the one who did the first session. The one where we were talking. I believe it is. Yes.
Kane.
Yeah. She was. Yep. She was the one who was talking about the DISC profile,
Yep.
the emotional intelligence.
Yep.
That is something that I walked out of that one thinking that's something I need to dig in deeper.
Mm.
Because it's really hard. I mean, each of these sessions they themselves can probably be broken down into 10 weeks, just themselves, or if not more.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to capture everything within a 2-hour window. But that one was great because, with respect to your emotional intelligence, it's so important to be self-aware.
Right.
Mhm.
And to know what other people think about you, and not, not from a lens of putting yourself up or down or knocking yourself down, but really just to understand where I can be better.
Mm-hmm.
And then going to the disc profile. At first, I thought, when the report came back, I said, I'm not a high C, I'm a D. I'm a D, baby. I'm a driver. But it's really, being a C, being quote unquote cautious doesn't mean that you're risk averse. I'm not at all risk averse.
Right.
What I am is I like to calculate my risk and know that I'm making a good decision, that I have a favorable ROI at the end of whatever decision that I'm making. Because, when you work in investments and when you work in insurance, both of those fields are fully revolve around risk. There's no other way about it. With investments, you have speculative risk, so it can go up, down, or break even. With insurance, you have pure risk. It's either yes, no. You had a loss, you didn't have a loss. But being able to calculate that risk and make decisions, informed decisions off of that risk, is so important. So that helped me. That just kind of assess how it is that I view things, how it is I view decisions, and just maybe just kind of get me to ruminate a little bit on what that means, and also more importantly, who I can work with and how I would work with them. Because how do you engage with a person who's a driver, being a cautious or conscientious person. So anyway, I thought that was a very valuable session right out the gate.
Well, you said something very interesting about the self-awareness, how important it is. And I think that it's something that we keep hearing, that people really found. I mean, a lot of people had other classes that they were drawn to, but I think almost every single person was really impacted by the disc.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and you mentioned something very important when you were answering that question about it's a lot of information.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, someone else called it a fire hose of information.
Right.
And it really is, because these coaches, they've condensed information that they train. It takes them months, sometimes years, to train teams of people on the disc, on just the disc. So all the information that you got was very condensed. And so that's why we were always encouraging our participants to reach out to the coaches if you have any questions, because they really only went over the disc superficially, because there's so much more there. There's so much more to dig into that you can benefit from.
Yeah, but and that's a good point. It's also it's thought provoking. So even though 2 hours is not enough to go into the whole thing, at least it gets people thinking. Yeah. And there's a wealth of information. I mean, if for anybody who wants to dig deeper, you go online, you use ChatGPT, you go down to your local library. So there's a wealth of information for anybody who's curious to learn more. So I think if anything, these courses definitely help to kind of perk up a person's appetite or curiosity on a subject, and then from there they can dig deeper. Yeah.
And which is amazing to me that you are fully professional, fully involved in your career and your business. And as a father, head of the family, and you had a little time, just a little break to have a break. So how, seeing that and being involved, do you recommend this class, the leadership class, to others?
I do. I definitely do recommend this class to others. It's like I said, it is thought provoking. Anybody who has a desire to improve themselves should definitely do this. Yeah.
So how do you see this shaping the future of your business? Do you see it changing how you're going to do things?
Yes, definitely. I definitely do. Right now, this is kind of my busy season for work. So as I'm working the Medicare side of
Sure.
my business, this is the annual
Enrollment.
enrollment period, right, where everyone's making decisions for next year. So really at this point in time, I haven't had the chance to really truly develop the plan, but that comes in December. So
Okay.
after December 7th, that's really between December 7th and January 1st. That's my period to re-strategize my business for the year to come. Because frankly, nobody wants to talk to you as an insurance
Right.
agent. No one wants to talk to an insurance agent in
It's
December.
like your inspector to verify your house or your
Right.
your job.
Everyone's all the business owners are busy trying to close out the year.
Checked out.
They just want to close out the year and enjoy the holidays with their families. So this is really a great time for me to plan what I'm going to do in the new year, so that come January 1st I can hit the ground running. And that's where I intend to take a lot of these things that were taught. Rewatch the videos too, that the recordings of the classes, to pick up on things that maybe I didn't pick up on the first time around. But yeah, December is a really important time for me, as it just allows me to regroup, look back at the year, see what worked well, see what didn't, and see what I can do differently to try to make it a more impactful year.
Well, as you're planning during that time, remember to reach out to the coaches, because they are there. I mean, we're working with them through March.
Okay,
So,
great, excellent. Yeah, I definitely will.
Just even though I think the class ends mid-December,
Mhm.
but even after the class ends, I don't know how responsive they'll be around the Christmas holidays. But just send emails. If they don't respond, let me know. I'll follow up with
That's
them.
great. Yeah, thank you. That'd be great.
Yeah, absolutely. And with that said, we'd like you to share, with the audience, who you are, what you offer,
Okay.
how they can get a hold of you.
Yeah, excellent. All right. So again, my name is Javier Sanchez. I am an insurance broker. I specialize in commercial insurance, life insurance, and Medicare. You can reach me at directly, actually, on my cell phone. It's 702-839-8487. Again, that's 702-839-8487. My website is www.blackmountaininsurancenv, like Nevada.com. So again, I specialize in really working with individuals, small business owners, in helping them to protect their business, see their blind spots when it comes to their coverage, and help them cover those blind spots as much as possible. Y también hablo español, entonces siéntanse libres de llamarme.
Ahora en español.
Ahora en
Ahora en español.
Ahora en español, sí. Con tu nombre y toda la información, por favor.
Javier Sánchez, soy el dueño de Black Mountain Insurance Advisors. Mi número de teléfono es el 702-839-8487. 702-839-8487. Y mi página web es blackmountaininsurancenv, como la abreviación para Nevada.com.
¿Y qué es lo que haces en tu?
Soy agente de seguros comerciales, aseguro empresas pequeñas, y también soy agente de seguro de Medicare y seguro de vida también.
Javier, también esto incluye construcción, camiones, flotillas.
Exactamente, sí,
todo,
lo que
porque
uno
para nuestra gente que trabaja mucho en el área de construcción es saber que hay alguien que habla español, porque no, sobre todo en seguros comerciales, no hay muchos.
Correcto, Carlos. Sí, es con respecto a lo que es el general liability, también lo que es el workers' comp, asegurar las flotillas de camiones, de carros, de lo que cualquier vehículo que uno usa para los sus negocios. Y sí, desde construcción hasta restaurantes, abogados, bufetes de abogados, clínicas de doctores. La verdad es que cualquier negocio tengo los métodos para asegurar eso.
Gracias. ¿Alguna otra pregunta, Maite? antes
No,
de cerrar?
yo creo que no. Yo creo que le hemos preguntado.
Oh, Javier, we want to thank you.
Thank you very much,
Appreciate
Carlos.
and,
My
you
good.
are a
Thank you
great
so much.
leader,
Appreciate
and,
you.
congratulations to
Thank you.
graduate the program, and thank you for being here.
Yes.
Maite, my co-host, thank you so much.
Thank you, Carlos.
We cannot do nothing without you. So
Well,
it's
I
our-
can't do any. I
our
can't do
director,
any of this.
director of this education program, and always a pillar in our Latin Chamber of Commerce. And my name is Carlos Gomez from the Latin Chamber of Commerce. And from all of us, have a wonderful day.